Satan getting cast out of hell 3 times.
Out of heaven.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Could you expound on that?
Sure.
As I had told you, I thought it happened once, but it was rehearsed 3 different times throughout Scripture.
There seems to be 3 different times that Satan is cast out of heaven. 3 different levels of access that Satan has to heaven. The first one is his abiding, his living, his dwelling in heaven. And that's where you have Isaiah 14. Yeah, verses 12 to 15. Verses 12 to 15. And what do we have there? Somebody want to read that?
You fall from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nation. You said in your heart, I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the mount of the assembly, the utmost heights of heaven now. God fond. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Where do you want to go? But you were brought down to the
There's where we want to go.
ground of the dead, to the depths of the pit.
And again in Ezekiel 28. Verses 13 to 16. Verses 13 to 16.
You said
A
13 to
barrel.
16?
Yes.
They don't hear you.
You were in Eden, the garden of God.
Somebody who's already reading, John. Shouldn't have.
Every precious stone adorns you.
Sorry.
Carnelian, chrysolite, emerald, topaz, onyx. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, somebody was reading here. Maybe you couldn't hear her.
All right.
Go ahead.
Your settings and mountings were made of gold. On the day you were created, they were prepared.
You were anointed as the guardian cherub, for so I ordained you. You were on the mountain of God. You walked among the fiery stones. You were blameless in your ways, till from the day you were created till wickedness was found in you. Through your widespread trade, you were filled with violence and you sinned. So I drove you in disgrace from the mountain of God. I expelled you, O guardian cherub, from among the fiery stones. And then it goes on. So heaven was the abode of Lucifer. He was an angelic being of immense power. But
wasn't he allowed in heaven? Wasn't he allowed in heaven?
He wasn't just allowed in heaven, it was his abode. He lived there. He was,
Right. Even with all the stuff, God let him be there with like Job and everybody else. You know?
but let's not jump ahead.
We have a teacher here.
So he lived there. When was this? This was probably at least the creation of humanity. This was before humans were created.
So this is taking place because they say in the thing you were in Eden. So that's pre.
But again, what is the earthly Eden?
Oh, Eden is a representation of Eden in heaven.
That just like what's the temple in Jerusalem?
It's a symbol of what's in heaven.
So those
Oh.
earthly things are a
Mirror.
a physical representation of the reality, because the things that he's talking about here being the anointed cherub and walking on the Mount of God, that was not in the Eden on earth.
Yeah, okay.
Well, he's a fallen angel. Yeah.
So this was his initial fall, that he was cast out of heaven
Correct.
as his abode. We also see this in Revelation. We also see this in Revelation 12.
Mute that.
In Revelation 12, we notice, and Revelation 12 adds a bit of detail to that. What is the detail that Revelation 12 adds?
This is the third scripture, this third passage,
This is all about that first being cast from heaven.
but you said there were 3 times, or Joe said, is this?
No, this is all number
This is all
one.
number 1, okay, wow,
This is all number one.
okay.
12, Revelation 12:7.
Broke out, and Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. It's not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven.
So they had their place in heaven. That was their abode. But they were cast out. Okay? We there. But Satan was not fully cast out of heaven, because much later in Job 1 and 2, we have what?
Still have access.
We have Satan living in heaven in Job 1 and 2? No, but we have him going up to heaven and appearing in heaven. Correct?
Would this be 2?
Now is that
So this is the second.
Thank you.
is that because we gave him ownership of earth and
That's because we gave him ownership of earth.
okay.
So he has access to heaven. He still does not have the ability to dwell there. But because he is the overlord of earth, Adam gave him that title, the God of this age, he has access still to heaven. But when we come to later in Revelation 12, notice beginning at verse 10.
Sorry. The accuser of our.
Now, when does this happen? Is this happening in prehistory during the Garden of Eden?
No.
When is this?
It's the middle of the tribulation.
It is into the tribulation period. It is during this time of judgment. And what happens now in that tribulation? So this is still to come. This is a future event from our perspective. What is going to happen? The middle of verse 10.
Satan's going to be cast down.
Now his access is denied.
It says, for the accuser of our brethren who accuses them before our God day and night has been hurled down. Up till right now and beyond now to the future. Satan still has access to accuse us. Every time we sin, we give him permission to go up and point to God and say, look, 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 look. But as we enter this period of time, what happens? He is cut out of that time frame.
I thought Satan lost the authority to do that when he nailed Jesus to the cross and he broke the law and said, and put a
But he does not have the authority, but he still has the power.
Yeah, but God has the power to say, I'm not going to let you up here.
But he hasn't yet.
But he doesn't have the authority.
But God has not put him in his place yet.
Okay.
Long suffering.
And notice what it says in verse 12. What's verse 12 say? Revelation 12:12.
Therefore rejoice, O heavens, and you shall dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil has come down to you, having great wrath, because he knows that his time is short.
So Satan at that point knows I no longer have access to heaven. Where is the church?
On.
In heaven. He no longer has access to accuse the saints. Who is God's representative on earth?
The 144,000.
The Jewish nation, the Jews were back in the economy of Israel. And God says, no more. You can't come up anymore. You're thrown down. So that's the second one. But even that is not permanent enough, because then you go to Revelation 20, and what happens in Revelation 20?
He gets let loose on the earth.
Satan's bound for 1,000 years.
But after that,
He gets set
He's
loose.
loose for a little season, a small season, yeah.
verse 7, Revelation 20, verse 7.
1,000 years are over, Satan will be released from his prison, and he will go out to deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, and to gather them for battle in numbers. They are like sand in the seashore.
Keep going.
They marched across the bed of the earth and surrounded the camp of God's people, the city he loves. But fire came down from heaven and devoured them. And the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of burning sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet had been thrown. They will be tormented day and night forever and ever.
So this third one is his permanent consignment to the lake of fire.
Stay there.
And there's no escape from that. And Milton, how did Milton portray hell?
This Dante's Inferno.
Paradise Lost, Dante's, how does he portray that? As the domain where the devil rules and the devil has power, and what's the famous line from that? What's the famous line Satan says?
I'd rather rule in heaven than be a
Rule in.
rule in hell.
I'd rather rule in hell than serve in heaven. And that's how Dante, but is Satan ruling in hell?
No.
No, he is chained there. He is a prisoner in the lake of fire. This is not his domain where he goes, ha ha ha, at least I rule here. He is just as tormented as every other being in that lake of fire.
Lake of fire, do you figure that's a spiritual place or is that a literal place? The only reason I ask that, volcanoes and lava.
Well,
that's just what we can
people,
understand.
let me just say about both heaven and hell. People say, I believe in a literal hell. Honestly, I hope that's true. but I don't believe it is. That should bring no comfort to anyone. That should bring utter horror. Because there are two choices about hell. What are, and the lake of fire and heaven. What are the two choices? That the description in the Bible is either
More
literal
literal
or figurative,
oh, right.
right?
Right.
So either it's literal or it's figurative. If it's literal, we have what we have. But and there's a lot of liberals who say, well, it's just figurative. I hope they're wrong, but I fear they're right. But they make that being, oh, that means it's not going to be bad. Every time the Bible uses figures to represent something, which is greater, the symbol of something or the something itself? I still wear my wife's wedding ring. Don't wear it on my wedding finger, but I still wear it. Which is greater, the wedding ring or the marriage for which it stands?
The marriage.
Which is greater? They're trying to pass a law that it's illegal to desecrate the flag in America. I don't know if you've seen that they're
I thought
trying.
there already was a law. You can't.
No, freedom of speech.
Hmm.
So we had in the 60s people burning the flags in the streets.
Well,
Got it right now.
Then we've got it right now. Which is greater, the flag or the country that it symbolizes?
The country.
So therefore, wherever you have a symbol and a reality, which is always greater, the symbol or the reality?
Reality.
So if the language about hell being fire and brimstone and all these other things is a symbol, which would the reality be? Less than that or greater than that?
Well, Jesus
So-
said there be wailing and gnashing of teeth.
So here's my horrible thinking about that. That hell is so beyond our ability to comprehend. Because here's how it's described. Let's go back to Revelation 14. Here's a description of eternal punishment. 14:10. He too, Revelation 14:10, will drink of the wine of God's fury, which has been poured full strength into the cup of his wrath. Now, can you imagine the infinite power of an infinitely powerful God, directed by his infinite wisdom and understanding, directed to pour absolute fury on his enemies? That's what it says.
mhm.
So my belief is that the only way to describe that to us who haven't seen the reality is to say it's like being burned alive forever and never being able to be burned up. Because is there a worse fate that you can think of? Is there many deaths worse than a prolonged death of being burned alive?
No.
No.
And to be burned alive where you can't die, but you continue to be burned alive. Can you imagine something worse? I think even crucifixion sounds like a kindergarten picnic
Walking apart.
compared to that.
And the worst thing is you're getting a new body that can't be destroyed.
So I believe, based on this, that the reality is so much worse than that, that the only symbol that could be used for it is this idea of forever burning and never burning up. But what the reality is, it's so far beyond what we can consider that we can't even imagine it. And of course, what is the defining verse on heaven in the Bible? Is it Revelation 21 and 22 with golden streets and pearls? And is that the defining characteristic of heaven?
No, I would say where all the tears are wiped away.
No,
Where God exists.
no. What is the defining verse that defines the nature of heaven? And there is one verse in the whole Bible that defines heaven, and I'm going to extend it and say that same verse applies equally to hell or the lake of fire.
I was gonna say
Anybody
Isaiah
know?
6, but I don't know.
No,
I'm still going with mine.
turn with me to Corinthians. First. 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9.
Oh,
I have not seen. Heard.
Eye has not seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived. Whatever idea you have of heaven, it is not accurate. What God has prepared for those who love him. So therefore, the picture that John paints in Revelation 21 and 22, when he tries to describe in earthly language what he sees in heaven, guess what?
Close.
It's not even close.
this is about as good as I could draw a representation. Which is
Yeah.
stick figures.
It would be my drawing of the Mona Lisa, which would be stick figures.
Something else interesting, Tom. You know, like where Jesus said, they shall be cast in the outer darkness, they shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Maybe these flames in hell, there's no light either.
Yeah,
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's
I'm
like a
sure there's
dark
no
fire.
light.
You can even conceive that.
yeah.
What do you think of that?
I think, and I'm going to say that no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who hate him just as much. And that every one of these descriptions we have of hell point to the truth of it, but they fall far short of the reality of it. And that makes sense because we cannot conceive of something that lasts forever. Because nothing in our experience lasts forever. I had an experiment when I went to secular college where I got my undergraduate degree. I had a philosophy professor. And first thing he did in philosophy class, one of the very first days, within the first week, he had all the students, he said, take out a blank piece of paper. I want you to draw a monster that you've never seen. People are drawing away and they're drawing away and they're drawing away. He goes, all right, who has a monster they've never seen? The person holds up, it's got 8 tentacles and 16 eyes and it's, green and slobbery and drooling. And he goes, okay, well, you've seen the color green. You've seen slobber. You've seen tentacles. You've seen eyes. You haven't seen this combination, but you've seen this monster in different combinations. That's not original. Person after person tried to hold up. Every one of them was just combining things we've seen in a new and novel way. I cannot visualize anything I haven't seen. If I tell you there's a monster out there that you've never seen, I can't describe it to you. So therefore, whatever John sees, okay, he sees it, but he has to put it in human language. Or Isaiah, what Isaiah sees. How does Isaiah describe heaven? Well, it's a king on a throne. Has he seen kings on thrones?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a temple. Has he seen a temple?
No.
Has he seen smoke and fog filling? Yeah. So he's taking the things that he's seen and he can comprehend, and he's trying to tell us that in stuff that But does that mean that's exactly what it was? No, because this says mind can't conceive. So again, we need to understand that we're dealing in realms, and that's why the Bible says what will happen, what happens when you step over into eternity. Then faith becomes sight. But now we walk by sight. We walk by faith.
So the only few things we know about heaven is the temple that was built on earth because it's based on the same dimension.
But again, how that translates into an eternal thing, who knows?
Right.
So, and again, Paul alludes to this same thing in 1 Corinthians, where he says in chapter 13, what? How does Paul add to this discussion in 13? Verse 9. We know in part, we prophesy in part. When I was a child, I talked like a child. Have you ever seen a child? Have you ever seen a child try to describe something? Do you remember there was and Bill Cosby of all people, oh Lord, how things change, huh? I remember when he was America's Dad, but they had a show where they had kids would define a word. They'd say, okay, here's a word, and the kid's going to define a word. And then the adults had to guess what the word was based on the child's description. Now, when they were talking about a physical object, it was the answer the kid gave, the man that stands between the second baseman and the third baseman in baseball. Shortstop. Easy peasy. Then they give them a word like love. And these 4, 5, 6-year-old kids, how would they define love? My puppy. What? Huh, what word am I supposed to get from my puppy? My butterflies inside. What? Because they couldn't, intangible things a child could not comprehend. We now know why. Why is that?
They don't know anything.
The brain does not develop the ability to understand abstract thoughts until we get to be Holly's age. Until we enter at least our teen years, the brain simply doesn't have the ability to comprehend abstract thoughts. That's why in elementary school, you don't teach kids principles about justice. What do you teach them? 2 + 2 = 4.
That's what I'm not.
Could be.
Reading, writing, and ciphering.
So when he says, I thought like a child, I had a very limited viewpoint. I couldn't comprehend adult things. I don't know how many of you can remember back to when you had family gatherings and you wanted to sit at the adult table. And when you sat at the adult table, they were talking about all this stuff that was boring and didn't make sense. And then suddenly at some point in your teen years, all of a sudden you're sitting at the adult table and you're entering in because it suddenly makes sense to you. Paul's saying that's how all of us in this life are. We're like that 6-year-old trying to sit at the adult table and just not getting it. And then he goes on and says, uses the third illustration, which is what? Or the third statement about that. We know in part, understand in part, we think like a child. But then the third one he says is what?
see anything in the darkening class?
Yeah, now remember, what kind of mirrors do we have?
Does it work?
We have milled glass with a silvered background. When we look into a mirror, what do we see?
Exactly what's on the other side.
Yeah.
A fairly accurate representation, reversed. Left is right and right is left, but other than being reversed, it's a fairly accurate. What kind of mirror did they have?
Water.
Bronze.
Bronze, water, they did have glass, but even if they had glass, what was the glass? You ever seen just even 1800s glass? Very wavy and distorted because they didn't know how to mill glass down like we can do today. They didn't have silver oxide to coat the back, so they would try to use other things to make the glass reflective. If you make glass dark enough like this right here, if you turn around and look, you can see these become mirrors. You can create that by using dark glass so that the light doesn't go through it, it bounces back. But again, do you see a clear picture in that kind of thing? And you can imagine if that glass was all wavy and, because it wasn't milled properly, the reflection that you'd get back.
Distorted.
Very distorted. You can see that there's something there, but can you accurately from that depict what it's actually like?
No.
So therefore, Paul is giving this illustration. When we look at eternal things, this is what we see. And we need to take that very seriously because I see a lot of people in the church that especially these young preachers that act like we've got this perfect vision of heaven. We've got this perfect vision of hell. We understand that. No, we don't. But when God says it's really bad,
It's bad.
It's worse.
we have to go, well, how bad is it?
Place I don't want to go.
Right. And when God says it's worth winning, and that's where we have to act on faith. Some of you, if you've been a believer, an active believer for a while, if you go back about 15, 20 years ago, right around the turn of the millennium, what was really big in the Christian community?
What would Jesus do?
Yeah, that was a big one. What would Jesus do? I'll make up whatever I think the answer is and I'll do the same thing. But another big one was all these books of people who were supposedly in heaven. My 23 minutes in heaven or my 17 minutes in hell or,
Died and come back to life.
yeah, and did they die and come back to life?
As pointed out, the man wants to die, and after that.
Did they die and come back to life?
No.
No.
Did their heart stop?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, perhaps. How long can a human heart stay stopped before you are dead?
Couple of minutes.
Actually, at least 20 minutes, maybe double or triple that. In what condition can you extend that time out to those 20, 30, 50, 40,
Brain
50?
damage.
With cold and underwater. There's a thing called the mammalian dive reflex, that if you're submerged in water, breathe water into your lungs, and it's very cold water, you drown, your body shuts down every organ and pumps all of the blood only to the brain.
Wow.
And in that condition, and it slows your metabolism like incredibly slow.
Like hibernation?
Even more so. And literally in those things, they've had people that have stayed dead, especially children, 40, 50 minutes, come back and had no damage whatsoever after they recovered. So death isn't your heart stopping or stopping breathing.
It's your brain.
It's when this stops.
Well, you're talking about this stuff. I actually had it happen to me. I
Okay.
had back surgery, and I died.
Yep.
I
And there's
was
lots of
above-
people that die on the table.
I was
and they
above
bring 'em
my
back.
body. I was above my body. And I couldn't explain it. Yeah.
But there were
And I
all
told
these books.
Nurses and stuff. I said, what happened? I saw everything they were doing. It's
Turn
hard to
with me
explain,
to
but I felt
Second
peace.
Corinthians.
I
Second
felt
what?
peace. I felt peace.
What?
It really
Second
happened.
Corinthians. Yeah,
2 Corinthians
12.
12.
Beginning at verse 2.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
2 Corinthians 12:2. What's that say?
I know a man in Christ who 14 years ago, whether in the body I do not know, or whether out of the body I do not know, God knows, such a one was caught up to the third heaven.
This was after he was stoned.
We don't know.
Yeah, I was above
Keep
my body.
keep going. Keep going.
Okay.
God sent me back.
Alright.
Yeah.
And I
Verse
know
4.
such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I do not know, God knows, how he was caught up to paradise and heard inexpressible words which it is not lawful for a man to utter.
So what happens when you actually see, Paul can actually see under the inspiration of the scripture that he saw paradise at some point. And what is his
You can't
telling
describe
about
it.
what that was like?
It was inexpressible.
It's inexpressible. He couldn't tell you what it's like. And he's not
No,
even
it's not.
allowed to try to tell you. So when all these other people come along 2,000 years later and profess that they can tell you everything that's going on in heaven, who's right? Paul, who says you
No.
can't tell, or them,
No. No.
who says you can tell?
Right.
Who's right?
You're absolutely right. I
Oh.
experienced it.
There we
I
go.
experienced it. I experienced
So-
it.
So
But it
we
was
have this,
peaceful. I'll tell you that. It was peaceful.
we
And
we
that's hard to explain.
we have these 3 times that Satan is cast down. Number 1, Isaiah 14, Ezekiel 28. He is cast out of,
Revelation 12.
and Revelation 12. He is cast out of
Heaven.
heaven as his abode.
And that's when he went from Lucifer to Satan. Am
Yeah.
I correct? Okay, so that's the first time.
That's the first time. Then we have the second time. What's the second time he's cast down?
Job 1
Job
and 2.
1 and 2.
Well, that's still today, but when is it that he's cast down the second time?
Revelation 12:10.
Revelation 12:10.
I thought that was the
Not
first time.
Job 1?
No, the
No,
first
it's
time was
Revelation
in,
12:6
I have
is
that.
the first time.
12:6.
12:10 is the second time. What's the second time?
Okay. I had it mixed up.
Not Job?
Well, Job is currently today, he still has that access. That shows not that he's cast down, but that he still has the access.
the second
That he
time,
wasn't cast all the way out.
I got you.
So where is it that he is actually cast out the second time?
tribulation period.
12:10.
12:10, which is the tribulation period, he can no longer accuse. He has been cast out of his role as accuser.
And that happens as the church leaves, correct? So
That happens at some point during the
so
tribulation
not
period.
at the very first part
No.
when the church necessarily goes. Okay.
At some point after that.
Okay. But near the beginning of it, in other words. Okay.
We don't know when the timing of 12, 13, 12, actually 11, 12, 13 happened. There are parentheses in Revelation. They're not part of the chronology. We don't know.
Okay. I didn't know if it was the beginning or the end or something.
And nobody else really does either.
Okay. So that's the second.
That's the second. What's the third one?
When he,
Revelation 20.
when he gets kicked out in the lake of fire.
When Revelation 20, 27,
Yeah.
where he is cast into the lake of fire, 7 down to 10, where
Third
he,
time is 27. 27, correct?
27 to 10,
20,
7 to 10,
so, oh, 7 to 10, okay, got it,
where he is cast, this is the third time,
got it.
where he is cast,
To
And then the
return to
lake.
the lake of fire.
he's confined to the lake of fire forever and ever.
Okay.
All right, just one more thing about that. There are 2 kinds of fallen angels. Are we all aware of that?
Yeah, the one is the second type or the one that in Tarticus or something like that?
There are fallen angels that are free to roam the earth.
And then
They are what?
Demons.
They are the demons or devils, plural, depending on your translation, or evil spirits, or they're given a number of other names, and they are the people that you see in the Gospels who were inhabiting people, and are involved in demon oppression, demon
Possession.
possession. But they are also, a biblical term for them is familiar spirits, that they apparently have a connection to individual humans. They are around us 24/7. They learn all about us, all about our lives, and they're the people who are the experts at tempting us because they know all the stuff that works against us.
I thought Satan would have been able to do that.
Well, but
It can't be
Satan is one person, one being who can be in how many places at once? One at a time. Is he omnipresent?
No.
Can he move quickly?
yes.
Yes, but he can still be one place, one time. So when it talks about Satan does this, in what way does Satan tempt you and I?
He has his
Through his
demons.
minions.
Through his minions. The same way it says Patton stormed across France and charged into Nazi Germany. So here was Patton all by himself fighting hundreds of thousands of, what does it mean when it says Patton?
His armies.
His armies.
So are these minions what these demons or
Minions.
devils are?
Devils.
That's the angels from a third of his tail swept a third of the angels from heaven. But if you look at Jude, there is a second group of angels.
The pit.
That they're locked away until judgment.
They're the fallen that are
Are
in
they
the water.
permanently bound, John, or are they loosed at a certain time in the
There's
tribute?
bound and permanently bound, I believe.
Well,
Special
we'll look at
comfort.
that in just a minute, but notice what it says, verse 6. Jude, verse 6, what's that say?
I always try to turn to it and everybody beats me, so I don't.
So you've given up.
Yeah.
The angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness until the judgment of the great day.
So are a group of angels that are so terrible that they were not loosed as the majority were, but they are immediately consigned and locked in the abyss. What is the abyss?
Hell.
Another name for hell.
I read it was Tarticus. It's one line.
We can get in, we can get into the Greek and the Bible, because it's written in Greek, uses, but that doesn't mean that they're accepting the Greek understanding of those. The Bible pours its own meaning into that, because Tartarus is also called the lake of fire.
Yeah.
Or the place of burning, or so.
Okay.
Any,
That word's only used once in the Bible, that Tartarus.
but look at Revelation 9:1.
This is where it talked about them getting let loose.
Yeah.
And again, it just shows how we have to put the Bible together. We can't just take a verse or two verses. We have to put the Bible together and look at all the different verses that are hidden here, there, and everywhere. Because God said he sent it here a little, there a little. And we have to put them together. What's that say?
Then the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fallen from heaven to the earth. To him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and smoke arose out of the pit like the smoke of a great furnace. So the sun and the air were darkened because of the smoke of the pit.
Keep
And
going.
then out of the smoke, locusts came upon the earth.
And we're
And to
given
them,
power and yada, yada, yada.
yeah,
So who are these locusts?
Demons.
Demons, devils.
But what demons?
So specific.
the ones that were locked away.
down.
He's unlocking the pit. They've been kept in the pit. Now, even those demons that God said, nope, they're locked away, they're let loose. And you have there in Revelation 9 at the end of the trumpet judgments, probably the worst judgment in all of Revelation. Because this is the one that says, people will seek to death, verse 6. During those days, men will seek death and will not find it. They'll long to die, but death will elude them. So the releasing of these demons is going to be an absolutely horrific thing.
Yes. Most definitely.
You can only imagine what they did to deserve that, right?
Yeah.
And to be in there in the first place.
The star that fell, was that an angel?
Revelation 1, the end of Revelation 1, what does it say?
Not 9-1?
No, not 9:1, Revelation 1 answers that question. The stars are angels.
Yes.
So when you see the word, why is Revelation written in a secret language? It's written in secret code.
Yes.
Well, he had
Why?
to pass that on. He had to pass that on, and he was, had
Where's
to
John
do it
writing that
secretly.
from?
Alan Patmos.
What's the island of Patmos?
A prison island.
It's not just a prison island. Because remember, Rome doesn't keep prisoners for very long. Execution or selling into slavery is much cheaper or more profitable.
Well, it's exile.
Slavery,
Why are people sent to Patmos?
to not to influence others.
It is an exile of political prisoners who are too dangerous to execute, but too dangerous to have any
They tried
contact
to
with the
execute
Roman
him.
world.
They tried to execute him, and it didn't
You
work.
kill them, they'll martyr them.
Right.
Everybody will be.
And since they tried to kill him by boiling him in oil and it didn't kill him,
Yeah.
he's too dangerous to try to kill. And other people there were maybe former senators or people like that had political influence and people that still, but they're on the outs with Rome. But if they move to kill
Well, did he
them,
write everything in Greek?
some of their people may. So they sent Patmos is a political prisoner island. It's not an island for Joe car thief or chariot thief or whatever. So
He lived in a
what's the
cave.
one thing they don't want John to do?
talk to
Influence other
people.
people.
Get his message out from Patmos. So to get it out from Patmos, what does he have to do?
Write it in code.
He has to make it seem like it's nonsense, and they go, this is stupid. Let him send that because people think he's nuts. So he writes it in a secret code that the Romans will think he's just spouting gibberish, but the Christians of his generation will understand it because they understand the code. So that's why it's written in secret code. And to understand it, you have to have the Old Testament. If you understand very deeply the Old Testament, you'll see the meaning in the book of Revelation. So when he says stars, stars are angels.
You have to know the Old Testament for that too, correct?
Exactly. That's exactly what you need to know. That kind of wrap things up.
Yep. Can I answer your question, Joe?
Answer the multiple ones.
Thank you.
Well,